The Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, kinda power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hi everyone, Macca 19 here, and you are listening to the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast live on Port Fan Radio. And joining us again as co-host, the wonderful Rick. How are you, mate?
Mate, how are we going?
What's going on?
I'm a bit worried. We're up against the juggernaut of MasterChef now, Macca.
I know.
This is tough time of the year for us.
It is, yep.
And
house rules.
Hey?
And house rules.
And house rules. So, are you really going to mute me later?
No, if you want to get it over and done with now, or after I bring in our guest, that would be great.
I'll do it randomly at some point when we run out of things to talk about.
All right. Great. Wonderful. And look, we are also joined once again by El Scorcho.
Thanks for having me again, boys. Always a pleasure.
Too easy.
So, very good.
Thanks for coming back on.
Anytime. I think Stuart to Austin pulled out late, and I like to think that I beat him up and stole his lunch money and made him give up the spot so I could take it.
Pretty much.
I heard he got stage fright. He got intimidated by the talent of Macca and pulled out at the last minute.
Absolutely.
And
hope he's
the
listening.
Deep dulcet tones of Rick as well.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. My God, have you seen Timmy D11's first post?
It's a monster, isn't it?
I haven't seen it.
Sorry, Timmy. I don't read posts that go for that long.
It's not bad. I'd have a read when you get the chance. He maybe needs to break it up a little bit more, but no, it's not too bad. What he's talking about is pretty good.
Oh, that's good. I shall give it a read.
It is an encyclopedia.
Well, how are we feeling about this week, boys?
Oh, nervous.
It's a bit like that.
How are you feeling, Macca?
Nervous. Yeah, nervous is a good descriptor of how I'm feeling at the moment. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I feel like our season's hanging on a bit of a precipice or something at the moment, and could fly off the cliff if we don't perform this week.
Yeah,
I heard a rumour that Macca's confident and he's picking Port by 150 points.
Well, let's not go overboard. 105, I think it was. I know you're dyslexic, but come on.
That's exactly right. I don't know. It's hard. I feel like we're sort of in a position now where we have to respond, don't we?
I feel like we were last week, though, weren't we?
Ken's brought out the big guns, though, with his almighty spray, apparently. So I think, if they're going to respond, this is going to be the game after the emotional high of the 2014 final, the dramatic loss over the last 2 weeks when we supposedly were expected to win. Ken ripping paint off the walls, apparently, as rumour goes. Threats of mass sackings and beheadings in the club. You'd think this is the week that we will be coming up with the goods.
You would hope so. I mean, it's definitely time to stand up and fight this week, and we've just got to get over the line. And look, we want to hear from everyone out there as well. Send in your tweets. Can we turn it around this week and get our season back on track? I guess, is it season over if we do lose this week? And can we send Kane off in style?
Season over.
Wow.
Don't even talk about it.
It's still pretty early on, but you just can't, with the tough draw we've got, you can't afford to drop winnable games at home. West Coast was a disaster. Brisbane away, who were bottom, was a disaster. 6 bad quarters of football in a row. You'd hope we bounce back, and given a bit of the talk this week, it's going to be there's pressure on a lot of guys to step up. Not that there wasn't anyway, but given that there's stuff about Ken stripping paint off the walls and stuff like that, you want to hope we bounce back. Otherwise, it goes back to the line in the sand of 5 years ago, where we drew so many lines in the sand that we probably dug ourselves a big hole. So we don't want to see that again.
No, that's it. And look, send in your tweets to #PortFanRadio and we'll get to them during the show. And of course, the game we're talking about is yet another Sunday twilight game. I'm almost sick of these. And it's round 8. It's Port Adelaide taking on Richmond at Adelaide Oval. We've got a 15-9-1 win-loss record. And of course, the last time we met was that incredible final last year where we just blitzed them in that just about the best opening quarter we've ever played.
It was sublime.
Absolutely. With all that build up in that Guernsey, when Richmond having won 9 in a row and up and about, and just silenced them so quickly. There's never really been anything like it. Maybe apart from the Hawthorn first quarter this year. Yeah, just irresistible football. I think I put it God mode a few times on Big Footy. It's just unstoppable when we get into that kind of set.
So what were your boys' choice between the Hawthorn quarter and the Richmond quarter?
I mean, Hawthorn was such a tougher opponent in theory, but just the final, I guess the Guernsey as well is a part of the whole kind of experience. So I think I'm going to say the Richmond quarter just shades it, but yeah, not much in it.
What did you choose, Macca?
No, I'm going to say, it's really hard because I love the Richmond final, playing in the prison bars and doing what we did like that in front of a full house in a final was just incredible. But I don't know, beating Hawthorn the way we did in that first quarter against a full-strength Hawthorn and full-strength premiership team was pretty good.
Yeah,
so I'm going to say Hawthorn, just.
I think the Richmond final, there was more on the line though, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, I mean, we certainly had a lot more to play for, and it was a cutthroat final, and we tore them to pieces. But based on the the quality of the opposition, I think the Hawthorn won ever so slightly just in front. But I could easily change my mind on that.
I think for the just the fear factor we put into the other sides, because I don't think we're as consistent over 4 quarters as any of the other good sides. I don't think, I think over 4 quarters, consistency-wise, Sydney, Freo, Hawthorn are better than us in that sense because they're older and more experienced. But they all know, similarly with Freo in the second half, we weren't, maybe not to the level of those 2 quarters, but we just blew them away. And we've got that kind of extra gear that other teams don't have. And that would scare teams. Hawthorn know that we're going to pile on 5 or 6 goals in a row against them and they're not going to be able to do much. So that kind of fear factor and intimidation factor psychologically is important, I think, against good teams.
Yep, no doubt. Do you think there is still some wounds there for Richmond after what happened last year? Hopefully. And I was probably going to talk about it later, but I think it's pretty important that we open those wounds back up very early on. If we kick the first 3 or 4, they're just going to think it's all happening again. And as we know with Richmond, they're just a bunch of downhill skiers. All their best players play well when they're on top and go missing when they're up against it. So the most important 3 or 4 goals of the game are the first 4. If we can build a lead early, we'll blow them away. And that's it.
Yeah, don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm very captivated by this week's round. Either way, it's a win-win because if we start getting beaten, I'm just going to drink more, and if we start becoming victorious, I'm probably just going to drink more and celebrate. So either way, it should be.
Either way, you're going to get hammered and take your pants off, probably. So,
well, I've got to go back to this room again, so probably not that far. And I don't know, would you really want to see that, Macca?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Come on, don't lie. You've already seen it once before, so.
Oh, come on. 3 times before. Let's be honest. All right, this is getting awkward. So right,
the game start's going to be the important part, isn't it? I mean, we've really got to come out and influence the game early. Would you guys say that is a correct call?
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
doubt. Yeah, we've got to hit them on the front foot, and look, if we can do something similar to what we did to them last year, that would be fine by me. But yeah, look, I think it's absolutely crucial if we get the first couple of goals and really put the pressure on. And as you said, Scorcho, once Richmond feel the pressure, it's usually all downhill for them from there.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe just for our own confidence as well. Like we've, again, 6 really bad quarters in a row where we just haven't been able to get a hold of teams that have just been, I guess, more organised and, more kind of workmanlike against us. Richmond, I wouldn't say are a particularly organised or workmanlike side. So that's theoretically an advantage to us that we're not going to be kind of up against that kind of team. But, we really do, just for our own confidence to get back into it, to start well and start to believe again. Because you can see against Brisbane, we just looked like it was never quite going to happen for us, was it? We just didn't seem like we were going to be able to turn it around.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm. Yeah, the momentum, and even with the West Coast game, I thought the momentum in the third quarter shifted, and I just couldn't see us getting that back either. So it's really intriguing. And I noticed Port Fan Radio was a little bit controversial last night, Macca. Did you notice that?
I did not. What happened?
We asked the question: Would Kane Cornes shake Troy Chaplin's hand at the end of the game? A few people were disgusted by the question itself, but a lot of people had a comment. What do you guys think? I'll reword it though. If you were Kane Cornes, would you be shaking Troy Chaplin's hand at the end of the game?
Yes,
probably.
I would. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
You've
just not
moved
worth.
on.
Troy Chaplin is so insignificant that it's not worth the I guess giving him the honour of not having his hand shaken. He's just not significant to this club anymore. Shake his hand, give him a look in the eye, which says, good career decision there, Chappie. We were very happy to get rid of you. Hopefully after a comfortable win. But I just think you do it just so it doesn't become a story. It doesn't deserve, in all of Corn's 300th game and his retirement and hopefully a good win. Chaplin, unless he does something particularly hilarious to concede a goal, he doesn't deserve to be the story. So shake his hand. Everyone forgets about it.
Do you think he'll be buzzing around like a plane if they're winning this week, or do you think he might be a bit more respectful to the crowd?
Oh, no, he'll be giving it.
Yeah, he'll be giving it.
After what we did to him last year in the final, he'll be absolutely giving it if the Tigers are winning and he kicks a couple of goals.
He's been saving it up since a fan came up to him at Westlakes all those years ago, and I've really upset him, and
asked him for his autograph.
Heinously with malice, asked him for his autograph, and he had to run away to Richmond. So look, he'll have a bit of respect for Kane, I have no doubt. He won't have a lot of respect for the fans, and no doubt he'll be fist pumping and getting into us if they're doing well. So hopefully we squash him early and that doesn't happen.
That's it. Look, we've got a tweet from Nicholas Teal, one of our hosts for the Maggie Show, and he has said, for those who have nothing to do on Friday night, the Maggie's Reserves, the academy team, will be taking on South Adelaide at Noarlunga at 7:10. So if you want to join Nick and the 4 other people travelling to Antarctica to watch the Port Maggie's Reserves, then that'll be a good thing.
Nicholas's his commitment is an absolute credit to him.
It is.
Yeah, I know some absolute diehard Port fans, but I don't know anyone who would drive down to Noarlunga on a Friday night to watch the academy sides. So well done to him. It's amazing.
Nicholas, don't do it, man. You're not well. You got off your deathbed to do the show last night. Stay home, rug up, and rest, my friend. Don't put yourself in jeopardy of missing out on the show next week. I'm sure the boys will be able to do it without you.
Oh, what happens in the Magpies hour though? If he doesn't, there's a lot of pressure on him. He carries that show with that kind of Herculean effort to go see all the games. So
he can just wing it. Read a match report and wing it.
That's right. And we've got another tweet from Dylan. Khan Rick, that Chaplin handshake theoretical isn't even a thing worth raising. So cheers, Dylan, for that. And,
piss off, Dylan. All right, next.
All right. So,
what about the teams?
Let's talk about the teams because I'm
only joking, Dylan. Too.
Sure you are, Rick. We've got a couple of interesting selections, I guess. Sam Gray has come off the rookie list, and it has been said that he's definitely playing on the weekend. So that's a bit of a surprise. I certainly didn't expect that, even though Sam Gray's probably been in better form than probably most of our SANFL players. So it's great to see Sammy Gray back in the side again. Obviously, Bobby Carlisle and Ollie Wines come back in, which is fantastic. Paul Stewart's been named in the 25 as well. I guess from an interest standpoint is the fact that Matty Broadbent and Hamish Hartlett are named on the bench. So I'm not sure if if that's a little bit ominous for one of those players, and whether there might be a bit of a shock dropping this week. But I don't know. What do you guys think might happen?
Well, I mean, obviously with if you look at our halfbacks at the moment, we've obviously brought Carlisle back, and he's not a halfback, but then we're just playing a lot of kind of running halfback type players with Broadbent, Impey, Pittard, and Cracker. And you can't really fit 4 of those players in. I know our style relies on that kind of run from defence and the slingshot, but 4 of them is too many. So you'd think one of Broadbent or Impey would have to drop out. I'd probably say Broadbent's got the runs on the board. It'd be very unlucky for Impey, who was reasonable last week. Made a few mistakes, but overall reasonable, but very, very good in the SANFL the week before. So I would think that Broadbent would stay in, and we'd probably have Mitchell, Impey, and then one of Eamon or Stewart drop out.
Yeah.
Do you think Ken is playing a little bit of poor games, mind games here, and maybe put them 2 on the bench and actually hasn't told them if they're playing or not, just to get them a little bit on edge?
Possibly. Yep.
Possibly. But one of those 2 will go, I think.
Do you think it's beneficial to drop Hamish Hartlett?
No, absolutely not.
Are we? That's the question. Are we going to be a better team with him in the reserves? Well, the reserves aren't playing, but with him, out of the side, that's the $1 million question. And I guess the same then goes for Matthew Broadbent. Are we a better team with him not in the side?
Oh, I don't think
Matty
so.
Broadbent. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think either would be true, but it might be a bit of a good wake-up call for Broady. He hasn't had a particularly good year. I thought his game against Brisbane was probably his best of the year so far, but still not up to his normal sort of standard. Hartlett's been a little bit disappointing in recent weeks. I think it would be a disaster if we dropped Hartlett. I think he's the sort of character that would, he'd come back into the side and not perform. I don't think it would be a good wake-up call for him. I think it might be a better wake-up call for Broady. I think he's the sort of player that if he gets dropped, he'll work his ass off, come back into the team and start to dominate, as we know he can.
Yeah. I think
Paul,
I was about to say about the same thing. The selections of Gray and Stewart are both players, I guess, who traditionally don't have a real good role at AFL level, but at SANFL level, they've been our most consistent players, consistently in the best, consistently racking up a lot of touches and doing good things. So whether it's a recognition that, guys are not performing in the AFL side, and we are going to reward form, and that's why those 2 guys go on to the emergencies and possibly get a game. That maybe that's a bit of a theme of the week for them. That you got to be informed to play, and if you're not informed, you won't get a game.
Yes.
Well, really, Paul Stewart deserves his opportunity. He was one of our best, if not best, running defender in the pre-season. I was surprised he didn't get an opportunity come round 1. And he's earned his stripes in the SANFL, so he deserves it. And I'd also like to say, I'm going to give a little bit of a slap on the wrist to the selectors tonight, and I'd be interested to hear what other people think, if they can be bothered tweeting in or even calling in. But I think they actually let Cam O'Shea down, because clearly he should not have been selected last week, and they selected him anyway, and then they've pumped him this week. How's that good for his confidence? I don't know. And what message is that sending is very confusing. But his form didn't warrant selection in the first place, and they picked him, and then they've dropped him after an average game. Well, I don't understand what they were really expecting there.
Yeah, it was a bit harsh. You would have thought maybe Paul Stewart might have been the better selection last week, but as I said in the review, I think maybe they just thought they needed an extra sort of toolish defender there with Carlisle out of the side, but Yeah, he didn't play well. He's straight back out of the team again. It's definitely a bit harsh, I think. But hopefully he bounces back because Cam O'Shea in top form is as good as anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. He should never have been selected, as we've said, and didn't have a good game. But I guess he had the opportunity to take his chance. Similarly last year, he kind of came in when we had some issues with Trengove and Carlisle, and then really took his chance and made himself really undroppable. And obviously didn't do it this time. So you just wonder what happens with him and how his form fluctuates so much, because we know when he's on, he is a really hard nut, courageous, intelligent ball using running defender who can defend and rebound as well. So why that disappears in the first 6 months of a season, I'm not sure. It's strange.
Catherine McDonald's just tweeted in asking if Sam Gray's elevation means we lose Crack in a few weeks when Frampton comes back.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Maybe for a week.
There. Yeah. Well, does Kane Cornes retiring mean we get to elevate someone?
No,
it doesn't. Could we theoretically put Kane Cornes on the long-term injury list?
No, because he's not injured.
He's not injured?
No.
Well, that could be arranged, though.
No, there's only special circumstances. If someone retires because of an injury, then they can ask to be put on the long-term injury list, and sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. But if someone's just retiring for the sake of retiring, then they can't be put on the long-term injury list. So we're essentially down a player up until round 11 when we can elevate someone for free anyway. So it's possible. I don't think Frampton will be back by then, so I think Cracker will most likely just stay on the senior list, and he'll be that one free upgrade that we can upgrade.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to. Cracker's pretty much booked his place. He's been really consistent. I know people are saying he's not playing a lot of game time, which is an issue when we're struggling with work rate and to run out games. But he's playing really well with the time he's on the field. So
yeah.
Yeah.
There was some sort of hoo-ha today about him being the sub, and a lot of people saying that he wouldn't make a good sub, but I actually reckon he'd be a fantastic sub. Because you look, as you said, he hasn't been playing a lot of game time, and he's really been struggling in second halves in his game so far. I think he's only averaging about 3 touches in the second halves this year. I reckon he'd be a fantastic sub. He's got lightning pace, he can use the ball well. I reckon he'd come on and dominate.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, with his speed and with his just really, really good ball use, running against tired defenders, could really be beneficial for us. So I'd be happy to see him as the sub, and I probably expect that to happen. Yeah, because obviously, yeah, I think I probably expect that to happen. Depends on who gets picked, obviously. Yeah.
So who would your 4 be? Who would your 4 be on the interchange bench? For me, it would be Brody, Hartlett, Impey, and Gray. I reckon that's who's going to play.
Okay.
Right.
We know Gray's in. I would have Brody and Hartlett as well, and then, as I said, I don't want to drop Impey, and I don't think he deserves to be dropped. But we can't play that many kind of halfbacks. Paul Stewart might get a gig because of his versatility. Eamon didn't do anything wrong, so I'd say Brody, Hartlett, Gray, and one of Stewart or Eamon. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Is it harsh on Kane Mitchell because he's had a pretty good season to date?
Yes and no. I just don't know what he offers when we're struggling. He's a running midfielder, which is fine. And his run is really useful when we're winning the ball and turning it over and breaking, and you've got Brett Ebert breaking and taking a contested mark on the half back line, and then he turns and Mitchell's run on. But when we're up against it and we can't win ball in the middle and the other team's crowding our stoppages, he just doesn't offer enough. He's a bit like a one-trick pony in that sense, and he needs to develop a few more strings to his bow and develop a bit of an inside game so he can compete when we're I guess we're a bit up against it. Yeah.
What about
I reckon Hamish Hartlett, Paul Stewart, Sam Gray, and Amon will be the sub again.
Okay.
And I think I reckon they probably suspected either, or they weighed up between Sam Gray or Jake Need. for that forward pressure position. And I think they've given Sam Gray his opportunity. I think he deserves his opportunity. And I think it's a bit disappointing of some of the fans especially on Big Footy, with the vanilla comments and stuff like that. He's earned his position, and I'm with you, Macca. He had a few good games last year, and then he sort of drifted off with his influence. But I guess if they're playing pretty much the permanent small forward, I mean, what can you expect? Mid-teen possessions, a couple of goals at best. And if your side's getting pumped like last week, you're lucky if your small forward will get 10 possessions and kick a goal. So, I think people maybe are marking Sam a little bit unfairly, and I don't think he's in there to be one of our key midfielders. So, but it is quite interesting with the number of defenders that we have listed in the squad.
Yeah. I think with Gray, I think one thing we've really lacked over the past couple of, 6 quarters that we've struggled is any form of crumbing at all. Whether it be down, back, up, forward, it just seems to be other teams getting more. Well, both Brisbane and West Coast got more numbers to the contest and then ran the ball away. Unless we clunked a mark, it just didn't seem to matter what we did going forward. So maybe Gray will be used in that role where he is a bit of a follower, but hopefully he can get down, back and forward, and he's not too bad at sharking the pack like that. And he's very effective in that sort of role at SANFL level. So. He's cleaner than Kane Mitchell, but he's probably not the cleanest player. But that's that'll come with experience and time at AFL level. So hopefully he can improve us in that area. And I was probably expecting Need to come in for that purpose, but Gray's probably the next best thing based on what we've got in the SANFL.
Look, we want people to, we want the club to sort of promote players that have played well and are in great form, and Sam Gray's certainly in great form. He's arguably been our best SANFL player for the year so far. He's got his positive and negative traits. I love the way that he gets space on his opponent. Don't particularly like the fact that he fumbles a fair bit. I think he often thinks he's got less time than what he actually does. So if he can sort that out, he'll be really good. And that typing is really annoying.
Oh, shit. I thought I'd muted them. Mike. Sorry.
Good on you, Rick.
Now, Scorcho, I told you not to type when we're live.
Sorry, I bought this really loud keyboard, and I'm showing it off.
Do you have a keyboard from like 1986, Rick?
No, I've actually got a really good keyboard.
Is it one of those technical keyboards?
High-tech, wireless, keyless entry, remote control, all that sort of stuff. It's but I do type very heavy-handed. Sorry, where were we?
That's not annoying at all either. Well, look, let's talk about Richmond for a bit, because they're probably in a pretty similar position to us. I think a lot of people expected them to have a pretty good year this year and really push for finals and hopefully for them push for top 4, and it just hasn't happened so far this year. They've only beaten Carlton, Brisbane and Collingwood so far. I guess, are we concerned about what they can do? On paper, they've got a very good team.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they were expected to do quite well, but if you look at how they did last year, they fell into the 8 with 9 wins in a row, probably the only really impressive win coming over a very flat Sydney. So, are they as good as everyone was saying? I think people got a bit caught up in the hype of the 9 in a row, but and then in the final, they played like a team that fell into the 8 against a team that fell out of the 4. So, I think on paper they are very good, but as I said earlier, they've got a lot of those downhill skier types like Deledio and Cochin and Martin, who look really good when they're up and about, and then as soon as the pressure's on, they just wilt and don't really offer much. You don't have someone like a Joel Selwood or sometimes Travis Boak who will pick you up and drag you over the line. So, yeah. No,
that's a fair call. Yeah, I do agree with that. And look, they beat Collingwood on the weekend and all their guns came to play. Deledio had 30 touches, 13 marks, 2 goals. Cochin had 32 touches and 2 goals. He's probably having a career best year so far. Sean Griggs moved on to a forward flank a little bit, and he kicked 28 he had 28 touches and 2 goals, and Rewalt kicked 4 goals. Rewalt's obviously their star up forward. I mean, he's kicked 12 goals in their 3 wins, but he tends to be really well held in their losses.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, he's similar. It just seems to be a bit of a Richmond cultural thing, doesn't it? They just, when they're struggling and they're up against it, they're stars who you would expect to be dominating for them just go missing.
Yep.
So
and Andrew has given us a compliment, boys, and said that it's great to hear some fair and respectful commentary on Port Adelaide, and she loves my typing. Keep up the good typing. And
she did not say that, Rick.
All right, she didn't put that bit in there. And Bevan, you've got a fan, Serge. Bevan's a big fan and enjoying and is enjoying the work, and he's enjoying my bongo playing, which I won't do again because I'll bust Macca's eardrums because he's very sensitive. So, but feel free to call in, guys. Port Fan Radio on Skype and give us a view. I mean, I'm worried about Brett Delidio. I've got scars from the times where we don't pay him any attention and he runs wild. So will that be Kane's last mission?
Yeah, you think he'd go to Delidio or Cochin. And I'd expect if we're up and about, he'll shut one of them out of the game. If we have a quiet one, then they'll probably get on top of him. So just with their players. So you'd hope he'd get someone and just keep someone to 6 touches or something like that in a kind of vintage Kane performance. But whatever he does, I'm sure he'll be giving it his all, and hopefully the boys will back him up and make sure he has a good win in his position.
I'm going to go a little bit left of centre and say that he's going to go to Anthony Miles.
Anthony Miles, good call, yeah. Clearance machine.
Yeah, absolutely. He's good against that sort of player.
I can tell you one thing, Macca.
Yep.
If bloody Dustin Martin does 5 or more fend-offs in the game, we're punching on in the lounge because shits me how he keeps getting away with that stuff.
He's a very good proponent of the fend, isn't he? I was kind of hoping Need would come in because Need's got a bit of the I just wanted to see Need bring him down. He tries to fend Need, thinking Need's going to be nothing, and Need brings him down. A bit of the George Gregan bringing down Jonah Lomu type tackle. I'd love to see him tackle when trying one of those fends against, especially a littler guy like Need or maybe even Gray. So hopefully he tries it this week and it doesn't work out for him. Probably the player I'm most interested in from their side is Rance, because Rance seems to have been anointed in the past 6 months as the greatest centre-half back to have ever played the game. And I'm not really sure where that came from because I think he was All-Australian last year. So he's quite a solid, good centre-half back, but I don't think he's head and shoulders above everyone else in the league. But a lot of the discussion at the start of the year was, it's pretty, it's Rance's All-Australian going to take. And he's good, but I'd really like to see whoever he goes to. I'm assuming that'll be Schultz. I'd really like to see Schultz kick a bag on him if it is Schultz he takes, because I just think he's a good centre half back. But the couple of times I've watched the footy show, they're just going on and on about how good a player he is and how he's just going to sweep aside anyone who he plays. And yeah, I've never seen such a kind of a high level of hype about a player who, while good, probably isn't quite deserving of that.
That's it. I think statistically he's very, very good. I think a month into the season he hadn't actually conceded a goal yet. So defensively he's fantastic. Can do a little bit going forward as well. And yeah, I do agree. I reckon he'll go to Schultz, and you would expect Chaplin to go to Westhoff and probably Grimes to go to Ryder. They're the matchups I'd like to see anyway. But their tall forwards are probably the section that worries me the most. I think if their midfield gets off the leash a little bit, then they've got the height and the X factor up forward to cause us a little bit of damage. We've already spoken about Rewalt, but Vickery kicked 3 goals last week. They've named Ben Griffiths, who's had a pretty good season as well, and Liam McBean, I'm not sure whether he'll get dropped or not, but he kicks a lot of goals in the VFL and will get his chance sometime soon as well.
Yeah, you'd hope we've got if any team's got the tall defensive post to deal with them, we do. Our thing will be, I guess, winning contests decisively. Given last week we would break even in the air, as we do because, Homsch is the golden fist. Trengove and Carlisle didn't play, obviously, but Trengove's very strong as well. But the ball would hit the ground, and that's where we'd struggle, and that's where they get on top of us. So I think we'll be able to match them in the air, and unless their midfield gets really dominant on us like Brisbane and West Coast in the second half did, I think we'll be able to hold them well. But my worry is guys like Martin and Edwards when the ball hits the ground, because that's where we've been weak in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And,
So who goes for Ewald? Do you expect Homsch or Carlisle?
I don't know if he's really Carlisle's kind of forward. I think he's probably a little bit athletic for Carlisle. Generally, Homsch will take that sort of player because Homsch just gets behind him and gets the fist in for every kick, doesn't he? He just kills the contest when it's time to. Very rarely makes a mistake. I think I'm a big Jack Homsch fan. I would hope Homsch would go to him, depending on what sort of game he is. If he's going to sit on the ground and wrestle with Homsch, then Carlisle's probably more suited. But I would expect Homsch to start on him.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I'd go with Trengove on Vickery and Edwards as on Carlisle. But our team's pretty positional these days, so I guess it's just going to be who's in the full-back position, I would imagine. And that's who Carlisle will take. And, people are starting to confuse me now, Macca, which isn't hard, but we've actually got someone messaging us on Facebook with their comment, not Twitter or not posting, and Glitch from Dubai. And he said we're filling in his last hour of the week very well, so he's very happy. And he'd like to see Cracker come in as a sub and run him up forward or off the wing to provide some run and decent disposal inside 50.
I'd like that.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Well, there was an interesting stat that someone put out on Big Footy today, wasn't it? That he's only averaging 3.7 disposals in the second half.
Yeah. Which is what I mentioned about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. I'm just reiterating your genius. That's all.
And that's to go along with that, there's that 69% of game time, which is kind of, I guess, where when Wines first was drafted, we were managing him through. That's the sort of game time percentages he was getting, and we slowly worked him up. And I guess Crack, not coming from a years and years of AFL background, he's going to have to build that up. But it's an issue for a senior player. But he might find that as the sub, he can come on and just dominate. He's got all the kind of things you need to dominate as a sub. He's got the pace, he's got the vision. Spot anywhere. He's really good touch kicking, but good long kicking as well. He can play pretty well anywhere on the ground. So, he'd be a good player to have as the sub, I reckon.
That's it. I'd even like to see him up forward. We saw him do a really good job up forward in the SANFL finals last year. So, be interested to see if he can play up forward and kick a few goals.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely capable. So
I guess the big question that I've got is we almost screwed it with Dom's farewell against Melbourne last year. We almost lost that game. Are the players going to be able to deal with the pressure of sending off a club hero this week?
Yes, of course they can. I think that's not the issue. The confidence is just the issue now. Do they still believe?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, if we hadn't played two bad games in a row, you might talk about that, whether it is pressure. But at the moment, they're under so much pressure anyway because they've just lost to Brisbane. So, as Rick says, do they still think they can win? Do they still think they're a better side than Richmond? And can they hunt the ball and get more numbers to contests and compete? Because the last couple of weeks we haven't. So whether that's structural issues, whether that's allowing other teams to get more players to the ball, it's tough to know. But you'd hope they are very hungry, not only because of Kane's 300s, not only because of his retirement, but because we just lost to Brisbane, and that's really inexcusable. And you'd have to think some guys, if we lose again this week, some big names would be losing their spots.
Yep, no doubt. Well, let's get a bit of a prediction. Who's going to win? And who's going to be best on ground?
Who is going to win, Macca?
You tell me, Rick. You go first.
I'm asking you.
Age before beauty, mate.
It might be interesting with the tips. I'm going Port. I think we're going to turn it around. I loved Russell Ebert's get during the week where he posted the Ross Lyon. Who else has got a squeaky chair? It's not just me.
That is me.
They're communicating with each other now. But he posted up Ross Lyon's presser from when they lost to us, and they were 4-4 last year. And he came out and said, "We're just an average side." And they were an average side that was still able to string a whole lot of great games together and made the top four. So I think, myself included, we're being a little bit dramatic. and the media is being very harsh and critical, and that was always going to happen because Port Adelaide had such a high benchmark after the previous 2 years. But I feel that we're going to come good, we're going to believe, and we're going to smash them off the park by 20 points.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think we're going to win. I think again, yeah, similar kind of thing. I really want to be hopeful that we're going to be on top, and I think if we're on top, we're way too good for them. I think we'll smother them early. I'm hoping we come out breathing fire and smother them early, and end up winning by 8 goals or that sort of margin where we're never really contested. In terms of best players or most important players for this game, I think if you look at probably Boak is really important. I think he's been a little bit down in the last few weeks. 4 and 5 clearances in the last 3 games. Just not really having those dominant clearance numbers and not really, stepping up and dragging us over the line in 2 games where we were struggling. And, having Wines out was definitely important in that and just that, big body around the midfield. But I really want to see Boki step up this week and just dominate the clearances. Goals as well. He goes about a goal a game, or he has done in his last 2 All-Australian years, but he's only kicked 3 for the year. So I'm hoping to see, an 8 clearance, 30 touch, 2 goal game from Boak and best on ground.
Like it. I like that. Look, I'm going to say Ollie's going to be best on ground. I think he'll be our best player. He's going to come back in and dominate. But look, I'm going to pick Richmond by 27 points.
27. You
27.
coward. You should be banned. Banned as a Port supporter. You're a disgrace.
You can get some good money on Sportsbet for Richmond actually at the moment, Macca, if you're interested.
Disgraceful. You should be
not a betting man, but if I was, I'd certainly be putting some money on it, I reckon.
I only bet against us, and only so it'll make me feel better when we lose, and it never does.
What do everyone that's listening in think about Macca picking Richmond? I think it's disgraceful. Where is his true colours and belief? It's outrageous.
Where's my loyalty, Rick? Unbelievable.
It's outrageous. Where's the loyalty? And hard to you when Port Adelaide win and I get one back on you, and I'm only 6 tips behind you in the tipping challenge. But there's a long season to go. Hey, are we going to do the Who Am I?
Yes, we are. We can do it right now if you want.
We can do it right now. And you have to call in. Andrea, you could be the first caller. Don't be shy. Call in. You never know. Macca's not that bad. He won't be too aggressive. I promise. I'll look after you. All right? If you get through. And we don't need Nick calling through. You always call through, Nick. So I've said he was on our AFL list, didn't I?
Yeah, you said he played an AFL game.
No, I didn't say that. I said he was on the AFL list. But did he play a game? He did play a game. He was on a list, or he might still be on a list, 7 seasons.
Okay.
7 seasons he's on an AFL list. Or lists, to be pedantic. Could be lists or lists. There you go. Can't give it away. Mr. Speaker's already bled me for $100 this week, so I can't make it too easy. All right, he's got his. I don't know. I'm waiting to see a picture of what he got from the Port Club. So he better stump up.
That has to be in selfie form, doesn't it? In the thread.
It does.
That's the only way we accept any sort of merchandise related displays is selfie form. So I expect to see that.
And no cowards here. We're only going to give you a shot if you call in. No tweeting. It's got to be a call in. Hey,
look, I've got to say, mate, Twitter has gone off with me picking Richmond. We've had more tweets in the last 2 minutes than we've had in the last 5 weeks, so it's it's wonderful. Dylan has said Macca has no loyalty to Port Power 1997. Thanks, Dylan. Nicholas Teal has said boo, send him off, out Macca 19 in El Scorcho. Catherine McDonald says, thank you, Macca, you've just got us the win. Superstitious tipping. Thanks, Catherine.
Just one selection issue which we missed, which might actually help your cause there, Macca, is the umpire selection. We have number 18, Ray Chamberlain. So expect this week, and we all know what Ray loves. He loves to give the big against the crowd free kick. So I reckon I sit with Cheesy Mac, who's on the forums, and we always say he loves to give the deliberate out of bounds. So if there's even a half chance deliberate out of bounds, he loves getting the crowd angry at him for a delivery out of bounds. The last time we had him, he gave that one where Young just handballed it straight over the boundary line. I think that one was a bit easy for him. I think this week there'll be a very contentious one where it'll be, a hack out of a hack out of a stoppage, and it'll dribble over the boundary and he'll give it. So expect that this week. I think expect a very controversial delivery out of bounds from Chamberlain.
Wonderful.
He loves it.
He loves it. He does. Good old Razor Ray. Look, Andrea said she's lost faith in me. She's picking Port by 28. Matt Sullivan's tweeted in and said, disgraceful tipping Richmond. Port by Kane's number 18 points.
Right.
And, so, good stuff.
Good work. Good work.
I like it.
But will we have someone courageous enough to call in to have a stab? And if we're going to talk about fashion, I've got to say that the new top, I don't know what you'd call it, the boys all wore them at the player sponsor night, and I think Kane had it in one of his pictures, the new long sleeve with the zip, with the high collar. They look really, really good. I recommend you go out and get one of those. They look classy. And don't buy it off of bloody Facebook where someone's trying to scam them for $50, half the cost price. And then they're trying to say that it's club merchandise. I don't reckon it is. So just remember, always go to the club to get the merch. And Graham Hitchie's commented again on Facebook saying he's taken Sunday off work to watch it, and he wants to see Sammy Gray take a screamer.
Nice.
Don't we all? I want to see Chad take a screamer. He's been a bit...
He's due.
He's been a prisoner of gravity this year, hasn't he, Chad? He hasn't really done any high flies.
He's due for either goal of the year or mark of the year this week.
Yeah, he's due to do something a bit ridiculous to get us over the line. Where if he just takes a couple of marks where he's just unstoppable and goals at a key time. So
do you know what I mean? Like it's like his grunt work has gone up this year, and his output's increased, but his flair's sort of diminished this year.
I think the flair probably fits a bit more in the forward line, whereas especially with Ollie and I guess Robbie earlier in the year, we've needed him in the middle. Where it's a ridiculous luxury to have an All-Australian forward like Chad Wingard who can just slot into the middle and get 30 touches. He's a pretty phenomenal player. But hopefully with everyone back this week, he can play up forward. We can get a bit of good delivery into him, and someone can just pop one up on top of a defender's head, and he can launch. So, yeah. Hey, speaking of fashion, while we're talking about it, Dylan, who's tweeting into us, I'll say hello to Dylan. He gave me an interesting theory on John Butcher, who obviously I'd spent a lot of time talking about Butch. He thought, speaking of fashion, we should go back to the teal socks that we wore when Wazza kicked his 8 goals against Carlton. And when we play away against Carlton in round 12, we should wear teal socks and we should pick Butcher and he'll kick 8 goals and it'll kickstart his career. What do people think about the teal socks? Should they make a comeback?
I loved the teal socks.
Me too. I don't see what the problem was.
I have 3 pairs of teal socks. No, I don't really, Pat.
Will it be?
They looked pretty cool, I thought.
Will they be coordinated with the teal pre-season Guernsey?
Maybe they should, but regardless of what we pair them with, I think in the Treadlers game it was just the original away Guernsey. But whatever they pair them with, I think the teal socks are lucky for developing key forwards based on Dylan's theory. So we'll see whether. I don't think either of those two things will happen, but maybe that's all we need. Maybe that'll change everything around.
That's it. Well, look, what other games interest you this weekend, boys?
Oh, let's have a look. Hawthorn Sydney obviously is a big game.
Yep.
A couple of big ins for Hawthorn with Lewis coming back, and I think they really missed Hodge and Lewis. And I think Hawthorn kind of act like they're so good that anyone can slot in, but they lost that game without Hodge and Lewis, and Lewis has been such a good midfielder. He's really stepped up over the last couple of years and become one of the top few midfielders in the league. So he'll be a big in for them. And obviously Brian Lake coming back in as well for the Twin Towers of Tippett and Buddy
Franklin.
So
I say it's pretty harsh on Taylor Giray. He's had a fantastic year so far this year, and he's been dropped. So a bit harsh on him.
It might just show the strength of their side. But yeah, I'm not. Obviously, Hodge is still out, but whether they're getting pretty close to full fitness, because he has been very good, especially over the last few weeks. So very unlucky.
I reckon I'm interested to see GWS and Adelaide.
Yeah,
Only
that's probably my
because
pick.
GWS has been Adelaide's, little brother, to use Mark Bickley's term, for quite a while. And I think they're averaging like 100-point wins over GWS. So I think GWS might be able to stand up this week and sort of expose the small defenders that Adelaide have got, seeing they are lacking a few. And wouldn't that be amazing to think they could still be equal second on the ladder after eight rounds?
GWS
I think they're starting favourites.
Yeah, they've gone in quite strong favourites this week, which is, I think it's a pretty well 50-50 game. If anything, I'll probably tip Adelaide. So, but yeah, to see GWS go in favourites, it shows how good their young players are, and their midfield is super strong. You think if their midfield really gets on top of Adelaide, they'll probably win. So just depends which Crows show up. I think the Crows, when they're up and about, can play some quite good footy. But that young midfield for GWS, even with Whitfield out, is very strong.
Yeah, I reckon GWS will get the goods. They're looking really impressive this year, and they're going to be a scary proposition in a couple of years' time. So it'll be very interesting. But yeah, that's my pick. And Freo North, I reckon, boys, might be a good game.
That's going to be a ripper game. It'll be interesting to see if North can finish Freo's winning run, and I reckon they might actually do it.
Yeah, look, North have a habit of doing this kind of thing. They play really well against the other good teams, and they seem to drop their games against the crap teams. And Freo have got to lose one. I've got a very close mate who's a big Freo supporter who thinks they're pretty well going to win the rest of the year out. But we know it doesn't work like that, or very rarely does it work like that. And I don't think Freo are that far ahead that they're just going to smash every other team like 2008 Geelong or 2000 Bombers. So they're going to drop one, and this is the kind of game where they might. But given that it's at Subiaco, you definitely, I think you'd be silly to pick North, but
they did beat them there last year.
Yeah, that's right. So definitely possible.
Speaking of favourites, are we a little bit overestimated by the bookies?
Well,
I think so. I'm pretty shocked. I'm just looking at the AFL website now, and on CrownBet, Richmond are $3.65, which seems like pretty big odds. But I guess that just means that a lot of money's gone to Port, really. But
yeah,
I think it's going to be a hell of a lot closer than that. But
yeah, I think people think we're not going to have that many bad games in a row. We were good enough last year that especially with the Cornes retirement and that sort of thing, you'd think we'd bounce back. If we don't bounce back, then we are looking really down the barrel of a year or struggling to make finals or that sort of thing. So very important game for us, and obviously the punters are backing us in.
Bevan's excited the fact that Carlton's got a Friday night game. Obviously, he thinks they don't have it. Obviously, he thinks they don't have enough. And Andrea wants Chad to learn to stay down and take crumbs down forward off our 3 tools, so he can get a few goals.
Finally, Carlton are getting some of the exposure they deserve.
Oh yes,
it's been a long time coming. I've been saying all year, yeah. Definitely. With we do need that crumbing help, so that's a good observation. Chad's very capable of it. We just need bodies in the forward line to make some space. I think if you look at what teams have been doing to us over the last couple of weeks, they've been parking a couple of loose tools back and then just beating us with work rate and getting more players to the contest. So they're able to win in the air, and then they're getting more players on the ground, or at least break even in the air, and getting more players to us on the ground. So hopefully our work rate's a bit higher this week. The likes of Sam Gray and Ollie Wines can get involved to get more numbers to contests, I guess, and get the bodies in there, and hopefully that'll open up space for guys like Wingard and Gray, and we can get on top of it.
That's it. And of course, there's no Maggies to talk about this week because it's bye round in the SANFL. It's the state match between South Australia and WA. We've got just the one player playing this week in Stevie Summerton. I guess we'd be hoping for a win for the SANFL there.
Oh, well, yeah. I hope Summerton has a good game, and I don't care whether the SANFL win or not. I hope Summerton has a good game and doesn't get injured pretty well.
That's it.
I have no interest in the SANFL beating anyone.
I'm not really overly fussed. Pass. Go Summo.
Go Summo. That's it. That's the end of it.
Go Samo.
Well, look, we might leave it there tonight, boys.
Cool.
Thanks for having me
Been a good
on.
night.
Thanks for coming on again, buddy.
Macca, you were worried we're going to run out of things to say after 5 minutes. We've done well.
We have done well. Very well.
Yeah.
Very nice.
We're the pride of Brisbane town. We wear maroon, blue and gold. We always fight for victory like Fitzroy Bears of old. All for one and one for all. We'll answer all the call. Go Lions, Brisbane Lions. We'll kick a winning score. You'll hear mighty roll. There you go. Done.
He's gone a bit shy. Where was the powerful...
We're the pride of Brisbane town. We wear maroon, blue and gold. We'll always fight for victory like Fitz.
Look, I've done the right thing here and have muted Rick. Thank you, everyone, for listening again tonight. And look, I hope you listen again next week when I promise Rick will no longer sing on this podcast.
The winning score. You'll hear our mighty roar.
Can't appear.
Ah!
Puts the ball across towards a teammate.
Yeah.
Grit's hand pass though, slapped, and now Need's away. Everything falling into place. Need, the beneficiary, running down towards the 50. Lines up, vacant goal square. How about this? This is breathtaking.